Hi, Josh here again today at Bella IMC. Today's tutorial is going to be putting together a base cabinet with a blind corner. Let's get started on that and we'll get rolling. Alright, to get started we're going to do this just like we did our other base cabinet. We're going to take one side, which I've laid the right side down. Again, to tell which side's inside down, you have your label facing up with the nice part of the cabinet, or the exposed cabinet facing down. Make sure you got a clean work surface so you don't scratch the cabinet. You'll notice all of your dowels and spring pin holes will be facing up. Once you got that laid down with your banding facing forward, I like to take and start with the deck on the bottom panel next. Again, you want to make sure that you got your label facing in, all of your dowel holes, spring pin holes all facing to the inside of the cabinet. With this having the blind corner, the deck's going to be a little bit different than your standard base cabinet. So you want to make sure that the dowel hole slots are facing forward. That's going to be the front side of your cabinet. As far as the rest of it goes, it assembles just like the rest of them. I'm going to start with your dowels. You'll line them up. Once you seat them in place, you'll engage it slightly. Give it a little tap, just enough to hold it in place. You don't want to fully seat it. Alright, once we got our bottom in, our deck piece in, we're going to move to the top. Again, do the same thing. Sticker always goes towards the inside. Again, you don't want your dowel holes towards facing you, with your edge banding facing you. That way it matches up with your bottom. Okay, we'll do the same thing. We use our dowel holes, our dowels, line them up. Once you engage it, advance it forwards, hold both sides. Leave a gap as you're going right now. Don't engage it all the way. That way you can do your assembly at another step. Alright, so once your top and bottom panels are engaged, next going to be the blind panel. Again, we follow the same rules. We always put the label towards the inside, all of our mounting holes toward the inside. Now this one, depending on the size of the cabinet, you may want an extra set of hands to help out with this, just to help steady the cabinet panels themselves. But what you're going to do, and the reason why we did not engage these top and bottom all the way, is because you see it's got a little wiggle. We want to be able to flex that out as we insert the dowels. So the best way I've found is to start with one side, line your dowels up. Once you engage one side, you can push it out just enough and lean the other side out that you can engage that one as well. Okay, you can give it maybe just a little tap to seat it. What you don't want to do is engage it all the way down to where these spring pins interfere with your facing down here. You want to be able to leave that up high enough that when we engage everything at a later time, it's not going to catch the face of your cabinet. Alright, once we got our blind panel on, we can move to our back side, back panel. Sticker to the inside. We want to make sure that we line up our spring pins at the top up here, and then the spring pins that are in the back panel will engage into the bottom paneling there. Pick it up. Like I said, we got our dowels on the bottom. Engage them just like we did our other panels. Okay, once you got your bottom dowels inserted and located, we want to make sure is when you slide it in and engage it that you still leave gap for your spring pins to go in. Make sure they don't extend down into the facing at this time. Once we seat the rest of the panels in, then we can fully secure it. Alright, one more step here before we put our other side panel on. We want to make sure we go ahead and get our toe kick on. And we got our spring pins, we got our two dowel holes, our spring pin holes. Just engage them. Make sure they line up. And you have to work it in there. You may have to tap it with a mallet. Just be careful that you don't chip it. There you go. Alright, we got one more piece of this puzzle and we'll have our base cabinet with the blind panel installed. Last is going to be our other side. In this case, it will be the left-hand side. You want to make sure stickers down. We'll line up all of our dowels and our spring pins. You'll have to walk it around. We'll set it up on top. And what we'll have to do is just walk around and get everything started and engaged. This may take a couple of sets of hands and a couple of trips around the cabinet to get it started. Okay, we got our side started. What we want to do is kind of work around here. We want to start with the top, and we want to get it engaged most of the way back, just so our spring pins are just shy of hitting our back side. Okay. Okay. The next thing you want to do then is fully engage your bottom. It may be a little tight. You may need a light persuader. Just be very careful. Do not hit this area right here. With them spring pins in there, you do run the risk of busting that out if you hit on this area here. If you need to tap it, maybe here, maybe here. You really have to here, but try just to use it basically with just your hands at first. So just kind of work it back. I'll need to tap just a little bit. So if you do need to tap it, make sure you're not hitting that blind panel. And you see I got that one nice and flush. Loosen up here just a little more. Okay, both those panels are fully engaged. Next we want to do is we could walk around to the back side and we'll engage that all the way. Okay, as I said, we're going to come around the back. We're going to seat this fully down. This here, again, if you need a little persuader, you can. But you can notice that our dowels, the spring pins, are just shy of rubbing on this. That's where we want it. Make sure you hold on to the cabinet and kind of work it in. So if you do need to tap it a little bit, go ahead. Be sure to work back and forth from top to bottom so that it slides in evenly. There you go. See, it's nice and flush across there, and our spring pins are fully engaged at the bottom of the cabinet. Okay, the last steps we got to do are to seat the top and to seat the blind panel. As you can see here, we've got their tops still extended a little bit. The really important thing to check out is on your spring pins, you got it across here, make sure before you final seat this that they are not making contact with your facing here. If they do, and you go to hit down and seat this cabinet, you run the risk of damaging this facing and chipping it out. So make sure you got a little bit of a gap, and then once you check that, then you can go ahead and press down the top. So now we've got that seated face down. Now we can go ahead and seat our blind panel here. Again, with them spring pins, it might be a little tight. You can use your mallet if you need to be. Just work it from back, forth, side to side. Until it's seated and you got a nice even reveal. Okay, now that we've finished assembling our cabinet here, you can see we've got our, basically it's a standard base cabinet, but we've got our blind face panel here in the front. It goes together very similar, just like all the rest of the cabinets do, and the rest of the base cabinets, with just the added blind face right there. Minimal tools, only took a few minutes to put together, and you're on your way.